Hi Pisces, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your August 2023 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who like, view, shared, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, the Celtic Cross spread as always, and I also pulled the 4 agreements, Wisdom, Oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. I'm actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology guys we have in front of us to get an idea of where you folks should be as far as that goes. Alright, well, we have Capricorn, and Capricorn is actually your 11th house of friendships, groups, and hopes and wishes. And astrologically speaking, we have Pluto that backtracked in there recently, and I do see some Capricorn energy in your spread as well. Right, we also have the Sun, so the Sun's actually going to be in Leo for the first 3 weeks of the month, and then it'll move on into Virgo. So it'll be moving from your 6th house of work, daily routines, and health to your 7th house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships. And 3. So 3rd house is actually Taurus for you guys, and astrologically speaking, we've had Uranus there for quite some time. Generally speaking, 3rd house points to communications, short journeys, and siblings. And I do see some Taurus energy in your spread as well. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we'll get started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Devil, Capricorn energy there, and challenging that, we have the Lovers, Gemini energy. So, on the one hand, these cards have some similarities, but also quite a few differences, right? We see the winged figures in the background, we see the feminine, masculine energies. Here they're chained together, here they're separate, right? We see the darkness versus the light. So, really what this could be saying is that you might be stuck in a connection due to a feeling of obligation. Now, when we say connection, yes, it could be a romantic connection, for example, but also could be a friendship, even a family connection, right, or a workplace. And to see this in a challenge position could just be saying that the time you spent connected to that situation is actually blocking you from a situation that's more meant for your path than your growth. So, and usually these types of connections are there until you do learn a lesson around the situation, and then you're usually freed from that. And then this looks like the energy of when the people are freed from the situation. So it could just be one of those things where it's like karmically there's a connection in your life that you're having some trouble separating from, but it looks like once you do, you actually will find connections that'll work better out for your long run. All right. In the foundation position, we have the 5 of Wands. So for some of you, this could even be a workplace dynamic because Leo energy really represents your 6th house. We were just talking about that recently. So maybe it's just a toxic work environment, right? But maybe you feel obligated because, I don't know, maybe you've just known the people there for a long time. So there's that comfort and familiarity with those people, something along those lines. But seeing this energy here could just be saying that you're in a competitive environment this month where everyone wants to have their voice heard, but they don't want to listen to anyone else's voice at the same time, right? So it's not a very productive environment. All right. In the past position, we have the Chariot. So usually this is an energy of positive movement, forward movement, and usually it's a karmically guided movement as well. So for some of you might have actually found yourselves free from the situation. So maybe with the retrograde energies, you might feel yourself pulled back into that situation temporarily. That's one way it could be playing out. But yeah, to see this here, to me, says that in the past, it looks like you were at least on the right path at a certain point and getting guidance around that. Possibly for some of you, it was taking place during Cancer season. All right. Present position, we have the 7 of Pentacles. So this is Taurus energy here, which we were just talking about as your 3rd house, given that we saw the 3rd house energy come up in the dice. And yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you feel like there's some disappointment there where you're starting to reach a point of stagnancy, where maybe you were experiencing a lot of growth and expansion in the situation, and now you might feel like that growth and expansion is starting to dry up a little bit, right? Where you feel like the same amount of effort that it took in the past to get to a certain point isn't really returning the same amount of results now. So there could be a question on your part, like, okay, do I want to continue down this path or not? All right, and in your future position, we have the 8 of Wands. So this is a Sagittarius energy here, and this could just be saying, so for some of you, let's say if they're, like I said, if this is a workplace dynamic where you're like, okay, this workplace environment's toxic, right? Just everyone wants to have things their way, no one wants to collaborate, right? So maybe you put your resume out there, let's say, right? Like, you know what, I'm just going to see what else is out there. If that's the case, it could just be saying that you might actually get some positive feedback around that resume if you put it out there. But for some of you, this could just be pointing to just movement in general. It's where if you felt like you were stuck in a certain situation, you might actually start to feel some freedom from that blockage. Right. The position of your influence in a situation, we have the Seven of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy here, which is your 12th house. So definitely be on the lookout for self-sabotage this month, So the way I can see this playing out is telling only part of the story, right? But knowing that only telling part of the story would benefit you, so that's why you're leaving out important parts of the story. That could come back to bite you this month, karmically speaking. So that's one way it could be playing out. Now, for some of you, this could even just be saying there might not be a nefarious intent behind it, but let's say you're over-promising, right? So let's say you do get a new job because you're like, okay, I got to get out of this toxic work environment, but you over-promise on what you can actually do, right? So they say, hey, we have these 7 projects that we want you to finish up, right? You're like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. And when you know deep down the most you could do is 5, but in order to impress the people, be like, oh, I just got this job. Yeah, I'm totally gonna tell them I can do everything and anything, right? And then you might come up short there, and then it could backfire. So it doesn't have to be anything major, but I feel like this is saying just really look at your true capabilities and what you're communicating, and make sure that those things are aligned this month, especially given the fact that there will be that Mercury retrograde this month as well. All right, in the environment position, we have the Page of Cups. So yeah, this could be another indicator of, like I was saying, try not to rush anything, right? Try not to overpromise anything. Try not to rush through anything, because again, there could be mixed results with that. So here we see there's still a fish in that cup, right? So to me, that makes me think of a couple of different things. One, just a rushed offer, right? Where it's like, okay, I want to extend this offer to someone, but with a lack of attention to detail to say, oh, wait, hold on, there's a fish in that cup, right? And then another way this makes me think is a fish out of water, right? So like I said, if you're in a new environment now, okay, I just got this new job, yeah, I'm going to show them I could do anything and everything, right? But if that's not the reality, if you truly can't do that yet, then you might be better off just letting them know where you are, right? And let yourself grow into the position naturally. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Magician. So yeah, I'm going to assume for most of you this is a hope, right? Where you can totally manifest things going the way that you want them to, where you can make things happen, right? So like I said, for the majority of you, I feel like there's good intention behind these things, but a lack of reality behind it, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, I do want to actually do these things for these people, but can I actually do them? Maybe that's a little more questionable, right? So it's like your heart's in the right place, but you have to stay in touch with reality this month too. All right. In the outcome position, we have the 9 of Cups. So this is actually a Pisces energy right here, and it points to an energy of contentment, fulfillment, right? Knowing what you bring to the table, being proud of that, and putting it on display as well. And usually, when you're on that energy, that tends to bring more positive things your way. Some people refer to this card as the wish card, right? So definitely a good card to see in the outcome. And I feel like this is definitely saying that if you can avoid that one potential pitfall of overpromising things, right, then that could be the key. That's actually you'll just be in more of a flow that way. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the Hierophant. So yeah, this could just be saying, I mean, we saw the Chariot in the past. We see the Lovers challenging the Devil, right? So it could just be one of those things where I feel like this is saying karmically you're going to be getting support that you might not readily see on the surface, but like spiritually it looks like there's some kind of outside support that's helping bring these things together for you. So that's why I feel like it is important to be mindful of what you're saying and making sure it aligns with what you're actually able to do, because I feel like there's karmic forces behind the scenes in the situation. All right. For your 4 agreements card, we have don't make assumptions, and it says eliminate gossip. All right, it says making assumptions is a setup for suffering because usually we gossip about our assumptions. We make assumptions and believe we are right, then we defend our assumptions and try to make others wrong. So interesting message there, to me, that definitely sounds like a bit of a Five of Wands energy, right? So it could just be saying that, especially if you are in that type of environment, right? So it's one thing to be in that environment, but not necessarily directly engage in it. It could just be saying to try to avoid directly engaging in that type of energy, right? Because it's just an energy that builds in itself in a negative manner. And again, like we said, with Mercury retrograde, assumptions could definitely be a little bit more costly than usual, too. All right, moving on to your Wisdom of the Oracle card, we have Regeneration. There's the artwork, and the number is 46. Okay, central meaning says rebirth, second chances, new opportunities. The Oracle's message: second chances are available to you now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or loss is now being replaced by something better, more powerful, growing in its place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. So yeah, for sure. And given the retrograde energies we were talking about, there could definitely be things coming back around from the past. So that would make sense in that regard, but hopefully that resonated. The relationship message says the world is based on connections and relationships. No matter what loss has occurred in the past or even now, death and endings are only illusions. There is life after death, love after loss, and in this moment, you are radiating the regenerative life force energy that makes you irresistible to love in all forms. Now is the time when you see evidence of this new emergence. Can you feel it? Love is rising up to greet you. It's an interesting message there where it says love is rising up to greet you, because it makes me think of the artwork of the lovers, right, where we see that angelic figure in the background. So hopefully that resonated as well. The prosperity message says, what happens when it appears you failed at something? Do you see the beauty in the lesson? The understanding that arises from difficulties is like a seed that lies dormant for a time. Then, once it germinates in your subconscious, it pushes through into your awareness. It is becoming apparent that there is a new you, a new start. A more powerful version and form of what you began to plant in the garden of your imagination has surfaced. You are ripe for success. New opportunities, much better than those that came before, appear like gifts from the gods. Now is one of those times when out of seeming loss and failure comes a remarkable abundance. Do not dwell on the past, because you really are experiencing a rebirth. So yeah, another positive energy is there as well, and it could just be pointing to, like we said with the devil energy, where maybe your fears of repeating a cycle from the past could be blocking you from that positive forward movement. So that could be one way that energy is playing out too. So hope that resonated for those of you if that's the case. All right, and lastly we have Mudra for you guys. This is your Mudra here. It's the Mushtika Mudra. The keyword for it is selflessness. Alright, yeah, there's the info line if you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it has to say. But under benefits, it says weakens ego grasping and self-defeating habits, awakens enlightened attitude and the heart of compassion, reduces anxiety and self-doubt, calms the spirit, clears the mind, benefits the heart and vascular system. So if that sounds like a Mudra you think be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you guys next month. Alright, bye.